What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Players 60 through 51 in the TFG Top 100 Players for 2019. Quick reminder, please do hit that like button, and let's not waste any more time. Let's get right into it. Starting at number 60, we've got Chris Harris, cornerback of the Denver Broncos. Surprisingly did not make the NFL Top 100 list. He, to me, is still a top 5 cornerback in the NFL. It was good to see him get paid by the Broncos for this year as he was threatening to hold out. Now, he's not your traditional outside corner. He does play a lot in the nickel, but in the modern NFL, still a ton of value. You could even make an argument that the nickel corner is more impactful than the outside corners with how these offenses operate nowadays with the quick-hitting passing games. And Chris Harris is as good as anyone in the entire NFL at shutting down slants, screens, very physical and run defense as well. You know, he is really ideal for the modern NFL and certainly a top 60 player, absolutely a top 100 player, and I expect him to repeat with a good Denver defense again next year. Number 59, another player that surprisingly did not make the top 100, Jerry Hughes of the Buffalo Bills. He was up there in pressures. This is going to surprise some people, but Jerry Hughes was actually tied for 4th with Chris Jones and J.J. Watt for pressures last year. Another guy like Brandon Graham that you can't just look at that sack number. Jerry Hughes, one of the most impactful edge rushers in the entire game. I thought it was pretty disgraceful, honestly, that the NFL players did not vote him into the top 100. Maybe it's just because he plays in Buffalo, but one of the more underrated players in the entire NFL. Absolutely worthy of this 59 ranking. Number 58, we've got another edge rusher here, Danielle Hunter of the Minnesota Vikings. This is a guy that could exceed this ranking of 58, and I do actually have him right where the NFL list had him at 57 for last season. He's definitely a guy that could take that next step up and enter, to me, like the Myles Garrett and DeMarcus Lawrence tier of edge rusher. Danielle Hunter right now still an elite guy, but a young player that is only getting better year after year, looking to have a really big year there in Minnesota. Also need to mention his contract is an absolute bargain right now. They got him before a lot of these edge contracts, and he is really going to be on a cheap deal for that team for a couple years now. Number 57, Akiem Hicks of the Chicago Bears. The dude has always been an absolute monster, but early on in his career had a hard time staying healthy and really bounced around the NFL. Played for like the Patriots and the Saints. Well, he has settled down here in Chicago and has been the perfect fit inside there for that defense. Not only an amazing run defender, but his force and explosiveness off the ball make him one of the better interior pass rushers in the NFL as well. Just an absolute force. Coming in here at number 57. And then number 56, you want to talk about absolute forces. Kawann Short did have a bit of a down year last year. Carolina themselves just kind of a down second half to their season, but he is still a big impact in the interior there. Can stop the run, but also very explosive off the ball. He's very similar to Akiem Hicks. That's why he comes in here around this. I'm expecting a bit of a bounce back from Kawann Short to get back into the conversation for a top 5 or so interior defensive lineman for next season. Number 55, Lane Johnson. He, to me, is pretty much tied with Mitchell Schwartz for the best right tackle in the NFL. The Eagles just have a loaded, elite offensive line. Lane Johnson, just such a good athlete. The dude was like a tight end, basically, coming out of college, gained a ton of weight, has really worked on his game, and is just a monster. He still has some inconsistencies, but you're really not going to knock him too much for that. He's one of the best tackles in the NFL, period. Number 54, Keenan Allen. This to me seems like about the right spot here. NFL Network did have him at 38. They do, they value their positions a little differently. Keenan Allen, a top 10 wide receiver, one of the better route runners in the NFL. I'd put him in the top 5 for that category. Release at the line of scrimmage. He is elite, a great pair of hands, super smart player. Does have some physical limitations in terms of his upside, but it doesn't keep him outside of the top 10. Number 53, Amari Cooper was just the perfect fit there in Dallas. And I think the NFL's reveal of him at number 64 really captured how his skill set works perfectly with Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott, very effective in the short to intermediate passing game. And Amari Cooper, a guy that was used more as a vertical threat in Oakland, getting in here in Dallas where they're really going to focus on, slants, quick outs, in routes, screens, a lot of stuff that really utilizes Amari Cooper's release off the line of scrimmage and quickness to run those sort of routes. And it was really effective there and was a huge reason Dallas was able to get so hot down the stretch. Certainly worth that first round pick that they traded for him, and a player that I think in his first full offseason with this team is going to make a pretty strong case to being a top 10 or so wide receiver after next season. Now, number 52, just a couple spots higher than Lane Johnson here. You are really splitting hairs between Scwartz and Lane Johnson in terms of the best right tackle in the NFL. Lane Johnson a little bit more physically gifted, Scwartz a little more steady, his technique a little more sound. He's almost like the David Bakhtiari of right tackles. Maybe not quite to the level, but not far behind either. And the fact that he also has to do that going against a guy like Von Miller. He was successful when Khalil Mack was there in Oakland. He's done well against Joey Bosa, even though Bosa was hurt last year. To have that success in that division where he has gone up against some of the best pass rushers in NFL history is really impressive. And then the last one on today's list, David Johnson at number 51, did not make the list for last season, and he probably should not have. This is a projection for next year. I do expect with a actual competent offense there in Arizona with an offensive coach, hopefully an improved offensive line, better playmakers to open things up, and of course Kyler Murray, all led by Cliff Kingsbury. I do think David Johnson is going to reemerge as a legitimate top 5 running back, a 3-down back that can get involved in the receiving game, but also run for power and create big-time plays on breakaway runs. So that is 60 through 51. We'll be back tomorrow with the top 50 players for TFG's Best 100 of 2019. So hit that like button. Cheers as always, guys, and we'll see you for the next one. Peace out.